Hi everyone, I'm so sorry it's been ages since I last posted, but life has been quite hectic in the past few weeks. However, reading is something I always do, regardless of how busy I am. Maybe especially when I'm busy, because I'm procrastinating and reading when I shouldn't be reading. So today I am here to talk to you about a book I just finished, like literally a few hours ago, Sense and Sensibility by Joanna Trollope, which is the first book in the Jane Austen project. A couple of months ago I reviewed Eligible, which is an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, and I'll leave the link to that review down below. That was also part of the Jane Austen project, and this was actually the first one out, and I finally got around to reading it. For those of you who don't know, Sense and Sensibility was the first novel published by Jane Austen, and it tells the story of two sisters who are very different in temperament and personality. One of them obviously representing sense and the other one sensibility, even though throughout the novel they learn to appreciate the other one's qualities. So in Sense and Sensibility we follow the Dashwood women through a journey where the father has just died and hasn't actually made any provisions for them. So they have to find a house and they have to find means to survive. So this modern adaptation, this contemporary adaptation of Sense and Sensibility, follows the exact same plot. They're kicked out of their house by their stepbrother and his evil wife, and they have to find a new place to live and adapt to this new environment while dealing with the trials and tribulations of love or lack thereof. I really enjoyed reading it. I read it in a couple of days. I always find it that because I know the story so well, it's really easy to get into it. So I just couldn't put it down because I was very, very into it. However, I do have a few criticisms. So there are a few ideas and plot points the author kept in this, which I thought didn't really work in the 21st century. They worked really well in Jane Austen's time, because we know that a woman's goal in life was to marry rich, basically, and it's not the case anymore. And she does say that, she does kind of put it across, but I don't think it's done particularly well. Also, the ages of the characters, because we have Connor Brandon, and in the book, in the original book, he is much older than Marianne, but I mean, you don't need that these days because he wasn't as creepy back then, but today it is. Like, it's like we're given to understand that he is about twice her age, and I'm sorry, that is creepy. There were a lot of inheritance problems and money problems that I felt were quite detached from what we know and what we have these days. It's like they were still living in the 19th century, and that's all well and good in the 19th century. This follows the original story very closely. I think that's another problem I had with it. Because it's a modern day adaptation, I was hoping that the differences would still make me wonder about the ending as they did in Eligible, for example. I did wonder. I mean, I knew how it was gonna end, but I didn't know how things were going to resolve. So I guess my main problem with this book is that it followed the original too closely. An adaptation has to grab your attention even if you know the story. An adaptation has to make you question yourself about how things will turn out, or how they will turn out that way, how we'll get to the end that we are supposed to get, which I didn't feel this did, because it's just followed the original plot very closely. And I'm sure some people will think that's a plus and that's a benefit and that's a good thing, but I didn't like it because I thought, well, what's different? It's exactly the same thing but in a different time period, which meant that some of their worries didn't translate well because we don't have the same worries. We have the same humanity, surely, but we don't have the same worries as they used to have in Jane Austen's time. So that's one of my main criticisms to this. I love Jane Austen so much that I will read anything that claims to have a connection to her. That's how sad I am. And I did enjoy Joanna Trollope's Sense and Sensibility. It was a fun read, it was a quick read. I read it in a couple of days and it's quite a chunky book, so I did well. And the book did well. The book just had me from the start. When I read Jane Austen adaptations, because I know the novel so well, the original novel so well, I am always looking for something new, and I didn't find this here. Everything was exactly as the original, even though it was set in modern times, it was set in the 21st century, so it was lacking in that sense to me. It was, however, a really fun read, as I keep saying. It was really good, and I do recommend it. If you like Sensibility, I do recommend it. It's just comforting. This novel does its job when it comes to being an adaptation that encompasses the feeling of the original, the atmosphere, the characters, the personalities of the characters, and how they come through. I think that works really well here. I think it really does. But to me, and that's me, when I read a fan fiction or an adaptation, I want something new. I want something different, because circumstances are different. To get to a point, to get to the happy ending, things will have to be different. And yes, of course they're different. There are things that, in this, I mean, things do change. It's not exactly the same, but with mobile phones, it's a bit different. I was expecting more creativity, I think. So with someone with a flat they can lend you, a flat they can give you, or someone with an extra car they can spare, and I thought, well, so it didn't really work for me in that sense, but it is good overall. So I guess I recommend it if you love Jane Austen and you can't get enough of it like me. So that's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed a really quick review of Joanna Trollope's Sensibility. I do love fan fiction. I do love a derivative novel. So if you know any good retellings of Sensibility, do let me know, because I am all for it. I'm gonna read it. And if you read this, let me know your thoughts on it, because I'd be interested to know if you felt the same way I did, or if you were just really happy with the no changes policy that the author adopted for this. Hopefully I'll see you very soon. Until then, happy reading, guys. Bye.